we started This Is It in Denmark through our formal training in design and sustainability. Julia's French, I'm Indian. We're based out of India, Ahmedabad at the moment. Um, a lot of times people ask us, why are you in India? You started This Is It in Denmark, could have started it in Europe, whatnot. How do you think, and we know why, because there's the deep tech ecosystem in India, generally speaking, but also the kind of access we've had to founders and teams across the globe. How do you think the deep tech ecosystem in India compares to the rest of the world from your lens or your?
Well, it is evolving, and India has some real strengths. I mean, we've got uh, great talent. We now have a lot of ambition to build things in the deep
Yeah.
tech space. We have the government backing ideas, with the large corpus of funds announced. And what I've seen and observed, and I've lived through it because, in InfoEdge we did that also, is that Indian founders, a lot of them, at least in the deep tech paradigm, have a lot of cost discipline.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
and which is why a lot of this deep tech sort of endeavors are far more economical than Western counterparts. So and until now, what had happened was that our institutes and academia were lopsidedly, training, guiding, and moving students for the software world, right? Speed, fast turnaround, learn new languages fast, and so on and so forth. I mean, that was the cookie cutter boilerplate approach, right? And that's how you see a lot of software as a service companies come out, a lot of D2C companies come out, where software was the mainstay. But I think that shift is happening now.
Yeah.
Disciplines of engineering which were not looked at as glamorous, where people did a certain discipline but still moved to computer science, whilst being an engineer in a certain discipline. I hope and I look forward to that changing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so therefore, all of that will evolve. It'll take that, a bunch of time that software took, for people to become really good at what they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
Um, and that shift is going to happen. And of course, academia alone will not help. Like I said, industry has to come together.
Yeah.
Private capital has to come into early stages to be able to sort of, help companies being founded and support them and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So all of that has to come together. But I think India is in a good position now to do this.
Yeah, I think we've been whenever we sort of talk about the kind of work we want to do at This Is It specifically, we've been partnering a lot more with Indian deep tech startups and the ecosystem generally speaking. It's been very receptive of good narrative, good design. It's been gradual, even for us for the last, I would say, 1.5 years. We've observed a very gradual upward direction. It's very positive signs, very receptive, agreeable, mentioning some of those pointers. Yet sometimes still we have this like where let's say we put out a design out there and there's a certain connotation being like, oh, that looks like it's designed in the valley. And we're supposed to treat it as a compliment, which I know it's meant with those intentions. But there's still a sort of like, it reveals a certain aspect, like, because we've always been very clear with, we're going to create a global, we are working towards creating a global benchmark for design, but we are based out of India. And that's not something that's a connotation that's associated with India specifically. What do you think it reveals about that mindset, and what do you think in a way the Indian ecosystem needs to respond to? What should the ambition be here?
And not just that, but also from like the Indian deep tech investment also. I think like there is a lot of conversation in between how the Indian deep tech investor investing in specifically Indian deep tech companies compared to in the valley. Maybe it's just my algorithm on X, probably. But I've heard like very recently a lot of teams kind of complaining that Indian VCs are waiting for Indian companies to be vetted by foreign investments before investing in them. And I was just curious to have your opinion on that.
I think it's historic, right? I mean, if you look at how the services world started,
Yeah.
most of the IT services companies were catering to the West, you know. So that sort of became the gold benchmark, if you like, that, if you're building something of consequence, you should have Western clients. Maybe it was not said in as many words, but it was subconsciously,
Okay, the meaning.
passed on. As in when we started building stuff, a lot of the narrative was, hey, listen, it was built in the West first, then in India, be it classified platforms, be it e-commerce platforms, and so on and so forth, right? But that's because, essentially we're a developing nation, you know, and we will go through that curve like any other country has gone, right? And we are going through that curve. It's just that the inflection points are faster and maybe easier to achieve in the software paradigm, right? So therefore, the lens was largely that how do we interpret this technology? How do we interpret this founder or founding team? How do we interpret this company idea, possibilities, and so on and so forth? Is there anything happening in the West? Who is doing it in the West? What is the template?
Yeah.
Is it replicable? Is there a playbook?
Yeah.
And those are keywords that are used very, very often. So it is easier to interpret a team, a tech, a market, and second, of course, if you look at just e-commerce, credit card usage in India came after a long time.
Yeah.
It's just the adoption curve for various reasons, socio-economic reasons, and so on and so forth. And just the way we are, so we will follow that arc.
Yeah.
So therefore, it is interpretation, early validation, and the fact that, look, and we've seen that in the SaaS paradigm also, a lot of the Indian customers don't pay, a lot for the product in question. The Western customers do. Western counterparts in companies and products have raised a lot more funds, charge much more, and so on and so forth. We've had examples of companies who've sold to the West first and then come to India.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's a market question also. Is the market bigger if you go global? Right. So it's interpretation, validation, and scale. I think all three of them. And in deep tech specifically, I think the problem is that it's very hard to assess the science in tech.
Yes.
Right. And if there's some validation from the West, it just short circuits the whole process. So it's just that I just believe that there is no pattern recognition yet in deep tech, unlike SaaS, P2P, or D2C.
Absolutely.
And once that starts happening, I don't know if that'll happen in all or some areas where deep tech is solving problems. But the fundamental point is that deep tech is not SaaS in a lab coat. Yeah, it is a completely different sort of ball game altogether.